Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Ejahmix. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, welcome back. If you're not, and today we're going to be talking about good stuff. We're going to recap on the good stuff event that took place this week. And yeah, before we get into it, make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the content that you're watching today. And yeah, turn that notification bell on if you want to see my videos as soon as they drop. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's recap. So, good stuff event. Last week, I think it was October 13th is when they announced the good stuff event. And I actually have the tweet up now, so it definitely was October 13th. But basically they said, good stuff is coming. We'll be lighting up your week with 3 days of announcements, reveals, and other surprises. And if that wasn't enough, we'll have 3 games you can try right away. It all starts October 28th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central Eastern Time. And they had this really cool good stuff graphic that told us, good stuff, I guess, and then the date, October 20th to the 22nd. So there's a 3-day event from the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd. And yeah, everybody was really excited about this event. They were, teasing this thing. We kind of knew, I'm not going to say teasing, but we kind of knew something was coming because they were kind of releasing these ads. They were, new ads we hadn't seen before. We were thinking they were going to really, do something big. We knew something was coming, especially because the 1-year anniversary is going to be next month in November. I believe it's going to be on the 18th. It's the week of the 18th, I think, 17th, 18th, something like that. But that's when the 1-year anniversary was. So we were kind of expecting something, and this was the thing that kind of surprised us. We were like, okay, this is probably going to be big. Unfortunately, our hopes got a little. we had really high hopes, and unfortunately, they didn't meet us there. Of course, people are always gonna hype things up. I'm guilty of it. I really did hype it up a little bit too much, but simply because of all the ads. They even showed off an ad that had trying to think. They had an ad that had Madden in it, Sekiro, Jedi Fallen Order, and Pac-Man. They teased Pac-Man before it even dropped, so people were thinking, okay, that ad more than likely is gonna represent some of the things we're gonna get. Unfortunately, that wasn't true. That wasn't it at all. But really quickly, let's get into what was announced this week, right? And also the format. So the format of the good stuff event was 3-day event. We were thinking it's gonna be all this stuff, but it wasn't, unfortunately. But again, not a bad thing. We just had high expectations, right? But the format was it was 5-minute videos, 5 minutes give or take videos every day on each of the days, right? So there's these 5-minute videos hosted by Lamar Wilson. He's a YouTuber, very popular YouTuber, and Lauren Side. And I haven't really watched her. I watched Lamar, but I haven't watched her. So I believe she's a popular YouTuber as well. But Lauren Side, they co-hosted this Stadia event, right? So it was both of them on day 1. Then it was Lauren Side day 2, and then Lamar on the 3rd day, right? So now getting to the things that were announced, right? So the games that were announced that we had no idea were coming to Stadia were Ark Survival. That was a big one that's coming to Stadia Pro next year, actually. Orcs Must Die. Well, okay, we have Orcs Must Die, but Orcs Must Die, the Drastic Steps expansion was announced, right? There was expansion for that game. Hello Engineer, which is part of the Hello Neighbor series, that was announced this week. We got a release date for Jedi Fallen Order. We again knew about that game, but the release date is November 24th, I believe. And what's next? What was the other game? Young Souls. Young Souls was something we've never seen before, but that's coming in Stadia. And a game called Phoenix Point is coming to Stadia. And then we got 3 demos, and those 3 demos were Immortals Phoenix Rising, Humankind, and Pac-Man Megaton Battle. And those 3 demos you can still play right now. All the demos basically are available up to the point they were announced. So basically 7 days from when they were announced. So Pac-Man is still available until Tuesday of next week. Humankind will be available until Wednesday of next week, and Gods and Monsters, that demo will be available until Thursday of next week. So you can still play those demos right now. So if you're interested in playing Pac-Man, really fun game. It's very enjoyable. It's a 64-player battle royale game, really cool. Humankind, which is if you're familiar with Civilization, it's a game like that. I have sunk hours into that game, and then we're just talking about a beta, and it's one scenario. It's kind of crazy. And of course, Immortals Phoenix Rising, everybody's hyped about. I've completed that demo, and you can get a exclusive Stadia. I don't know if it's a Stadia specific armor, but for completing the beta on Stadia, you get this armor. I think it's called the Stadium armor on for completing the Stadia demo. So you can get that, and it's going to be on your game when you purchase Immortals Phoenix Rising when it comes out in December. So those are all the games that were announced, and now I guess we'll kind of, I'll kind of have my take on it. Oh, and also we got a glimpse at Outcasters again, and Outcasters is a IP that is that Stadia Games and Entertainment is working on, and also we got I guess a kind of redundant, I think, but a redundant, message of, okay, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 early access is going to be coming, or is out right now, and the full game will be coming sometime next year. Yeah, it was kind of redundant because the game has been out for like, you know, the early access version at least has been out for a while already. But yeah, they also, you know, I guess reasserted that fact of those two games, Outcasters and Baldur's Gate 3, were being worked on, and the early access for Baldur's Gate 3 is already out. So, all in all, that was the event. Those are all the things that got announced. But yeah, okay. Now my takes. So I was actually on the Stadia Source watch party. I was on that live stream, and most of what I thought I said on that live stream. Right now, I'm kind of I think I've kind of come to terms, I guess, or like really gathered all my thoughts. It's been like 3 days since the event, and basically this is how I feel about it. I think that even though we, you know, and I have to be critical of Stadia because even though, you know, they've already sold me on it, you know, I make content for Stadia and all that stuff, so they've already sold me on Stadia. I'm good. I'm gonna be a Stadian. I've pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077. I'm good, right? I'm good. You don't have to convince me to want to use Stadia, but I'm talking about for everybody else, right? I think that this event was strategically like placed very well in October because, you know, next month Stadia's not gonna be able to win next month. Let's just be realistic. Next month is console month. Not only are there going to be tons of crazy, really cool games coming out next month, but also the consoles come out. The PS5 and the new Xboxes come out. So this was a very strategic month for Stadia. And I don't know what they're going to do next month, if they're going to hit even harder or what, but this was a very strategic month in like the placing of this event, at least when we first heard of it, you know, and we were like, okay, this is really smart of them because next month it's going to be hard to get through all the noise, you know what I'm saying? Because the consoles are coming out next month. But that was the good thing. It was very strategic. The hype that they garnered from this event, though, I think was kind of unnecessary in the sense of I wish they were a little bit more upfront with us. Kind of, for example, right? And I'm gonna get to my point, right? But for example, if you guys remember back in earlier this year, it was a state of play before the PlayStation showcase. I think it was a PlayStation 5 showcase, and PlayStation tweeted out, "Okay, this event is gonna have nothing to do with the PS5." But we're going to have games that, you know, we're going to showcase games that will be available on the PS4 at some point. But this is going to have nothing to do with the PS5. I wish that Stadia was upfront about that. Because in their tweet, they literally said in their tweet, announcements, announcements, reveals, and other surprises. As if, you know, it was going to be all that stuff, right? It was going to be tons of announcements and reveals. And I was surprised. Like, they hyped it up, right? To the sense of, we're thinking we're probably going to get Uplay Plus stuff. We're going to be getting, I don't know, more Stadia features. Every day, everybody was saying, okay, this is going to be the day they discuss features. Or this is going to be the day Uplay Plus comes out. All those things, you know, all that hypeage, I guess, came from this tweet alone because they weren't specific about, you know, what they were showing off. When in reality this week, all they showed off were games. They should have been upfront and said, yeah, we're going to be, they should have said something like, we'll be lighting up your week with 3 days of game reveals and announcements. And I guess if they had something else, say other surprises, right? But the fact that they left it so vague, you know, that was up to our imagination of like, okay, they must be, you know, about to talk about Stadia stuff, and it's 3 days, right? So, you know, this is a 3-day event. That was my main issue. You know, it was kind of hyped up by us, definitely, right? We're always gonna hype stuff up because we want the platform to do well, but by them, they you know, unnecessarily, you know, got us to that point. It's kind of like we were like, I guess the way they announced it, they were like saying, okay, I'm gonna give you an analogy. It's gonna be wild, but it's like if you walk up to somebody or maybe someone overhears you and you're like, oh, I want to be a pilot. I want to fly a plane someday, right? You want to be a pilot. Somebody hears you, walks up to you an hour later or so, and it's like, oh, I heard you want to be a pilot, and you're like, yeah, and he says, oh, I'll have you on a plane next week, and leaves it at that. Like, I'll have you on a plane next week, and automatically you're gonna assume, oh, he said. He knew I wanted to be a pilot, so next week I'm gonna be on a plane. So all weekend you're over here making sure you know what you know all your information so you can fly that plane, right? Next week comes and he has you on the plane, but you're a flight attendant. Like, that's kind of how this felt. Like, and he's like, oh nah, you weren't flying the plane. I said I'd get you on a plane though, and I did that, so we're good. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what this event felt like. It just felt like they let us just based on their wording, they let us go above and beyond with our thoughts instead of just grounding us and being like, okay, this event is only going to be games, okay? Don't expect any long showcases or anything of these games. They're just going to be announcements of games. I wish they just told us that off the rip, because now we have a lot of people who maybe they weren't interested in Stadia based off this event or whatever, and maybe they would have been interested, and now they're coming and they're like, this was disappointing. I was told this was going to be a 3-day event of announcements, reveals, and other surprises, and this kind of just was game announcements. Technically announcements and technically reveals, but really just games, And I kind of wish they were a little bit more upfront with us on that front of things. But, all the negatives, I guess, aside, right? The slight negatives, I'll say aside, the positives, this was a good event. It was good stuff. And I was actually talking, I remember I think somebody said on the podcast, not podcast, but on the stream when we were first, having our initial impressions. I don't know if this was on the stream or when we talked a little bit afterwards, but someone actually said, this might be, something they're trying, a video format, because I think they said someone said that it felt like a, this weekend on Stadia in video form, you know what I'm saying? And it really did. It felt like this week on Stadia in video form because, every day was 5 minutes. It wasn't like a hour or 30 minutes at the very least of content or whatever. It was just a 5-minute video every day where they showed off some games and dropped a demo, and that was that. And it kind of, went that example of this being like mini this week on Stadia is that might be them trying to, try out a new format. And I think that would be really cool. I think that's a really good idea, doing like a, weekly video, kind of like, I think it's called Inside Xbox, where Xbox does their weekly video, whatever, of the new things, and they'll have, devs come on and they'll talk about a game that's releasing, whatever. Like, I feel like Stadia would benefit from that, because if they can get their YouTube, presence up, because it's Stadia, YouTube, it's all under Google. If they can get their YouTube presence up, they're really gonna start, garnering more attention, I think, right, over time. Because I think they already have like over 200,000 subs or something like that on YouTube, the Stadia account. So if they could really start doing a weekly show like that, I feel like that would be very beneficial to the growth of Stadia, right? So that's a really good idea and a really good thought process. This could have been a test run. So that part I think is really dope. And as far as the content of the event itself and the games that are announced, games are always good for Stadia. It's always a good thing, because games were always an issue when Stadia first launched for a lot of people. They were like, "Oh, Stadia has no games." Well, now we're over 100 games now. I think, or we're getting close to that 100 mark, and we're supposed to have 120 by the end of the year. But I want to say we're over that 100 game mark of projected releases, because I remember they said 120 games were projected to be coming out in 2020 alone. And I don't know if that was releases and announcements or just releases, but we know a lot of games are coming. Especially now, this event was kind of like early next year. These are the things that are coming. And we know all the AAA games coming out this holiday, fall holiday, are going to be coming on the platform, like Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs Legion, and Cyberpunk 2077, the big one, right? And of course, Immortals Phoenix Rising. So we know the games are coming, that's not our issue. But I think that on that side of things, games are always a good thing. So this was a good event based off, us getting more games, that garners more attention for people who might be looking at games that came out or that were shown off today or, this week, that they might be interested in, especially Humankind. Like Humankind, if you're a Civilization fan, Humankind is a really dope game coming out. And of course, Immortals Phoenix Rising. And I think that those are the two big ones for me. And Pac-Man was cool, but I think those are the two big ones because that attacks two different genres of gaming that we don't really have on the platform yet, especially Humankind, right? So I think that was really cool. And I think the event was good overall. It was good stuff. They told us from the jump. You can't say we hyped it up, but you can't say they lied to us. This was good stuff. At the very least, you can fact check them a little bit and be like, it was really just announcements and reveals, quote unquote. The other surprises, I don't really know what you're talking about. But you did deliver on that front. So at the very least, that's the only thing you could say. But it was good stuff. It was really dope, I think. And they're trying to reach a new market, with some of those games. And I think that's really dope, especially with the demos. I just kind of wish if they could get those demos permanent, at least of course, Immortals, I don't know. Immortals will probably have to leave because it has exclusive armor in it or whatever. But if they could get, some of those demos permanent, dude, like have them come back, I think that would be beneficial. Maybe not Pac-Man because that's kind of an online game. So maybe not Pac-Man, but like the Humankind beta, I kind of wish that could be permanent. And Immortals Phoenix Rising, I mean, it's just one little instance of the game, so I kind of feel like that could be permanent too, besides the stadium armor. I don't know. But I feel like if they can get some permanent demos that are available for everybody to try, whether you're subscribed to Stadia or not, I think that could go a long way as well, because we already seen the growth or the attention that has been put on Stadia. You know, all these different, you know, YouTube channels, whether they were sponsored by Ubisoft or not, are covering Immortals Phoenix Rising. And in the description, that click to play link to be able to play Immortals Phoenix Rising right now is in their description. So I think that is a big thing. That was one of the biggest takeaways I think I got from, you know, the impact of this event. Regardless of the things that Mr. Alex, I think his name is Alex Hutchinson, something like that. Whatever that guy's name is, the creative director for, is it Typhoon? I don't know which studio he's the creative director of, but he's one of the creative directors at Stadia. You know, regardless of what he said, you know, I would check that out. He made waves in the gaming space simply because of his tweets. But yeah, regardless of what he did, I still think, you know, it was a good event. It made an impact in the right ways, especially with Immortals Phoenix Rising. And that's kind of my take right now. If you want a more concise version of that, I would check out that Stadia Source live stream. But yeah, this is just me expanding on those ideas and those thoughts. And overall, I think they did well. I think they did really well, and I'm looking forward to what's next. Of course, I pre-ordered Cyberpunk. I think we're 26 days away from the release of Cyberpunk, so I'll be covering that on the channel. And yeah, it's your boy Ejahmix. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, peace.